And welcome into this week's edition of In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. Hey there, I am Aaron Cheslock, and boy, do we have a great episode for you this week. We are catching up with Clemson softball program, the star head coach, John Rittman, and the star player in Valerie Cagle. And there's so much I want to touch on after this historic season, guys. First of all, thanks for joining me. An incredible season obviously comes to a tough end in the regional round. You know, a lot of folks thought you guys deserved to host, but after an incredible season, and many people would call it unbelievable, how would you categorize the 2021 season as a whole? Coach, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think, Aaron, it was a very successful season for our, young program. Being in year two and having the first year shut down by COVID, we really knew that we had a pretty special group of players, and we knew that we were building a very special culture. But how that would translate into wins and losses was kind of unknown. So for us this year, to start out and start winning games early and then continue on through the year was pretty special. And to win an ACC Regular Season Championship in year two is just unbelievable, and just very blessed to be here and coach our team. So, long story short, I think anytime that you finish in a postseason regional and you make it to the regional final, it's been a successful year. Obviously, you want to win the last game you play in, and that means winning a national championship, and we fell short this year. But for us, just looking back and reflecting on all the great times and the great memories that we've had in this short amount of time in our program's history is just remarkable, and couldn't be more blessed to be the head coach here and coach players like Valerie Cagle. And I know she's going to talk in a minute, but just in short, just a great season for us.
Valerie, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Coach. It's kind of hard to know what to expect. We only had the shortened season last year, but what we do in practice, what we see on a regular basis, it definitely translated to the games this year, and so that's really nice to see. It's not necessarily, for me, surprising how the season went, just because I see what we do at practice every day, but you never know if that's going to translate or not.
Valerie, in a very short span, I know, you've only been on campus a couple of years, but the program's only been here a couple of years. In a very short time, we've seen this team explode into one of the most popular sports on campus. I know the support's a good thing, but has it even, especially from your perspective, has it even been a little overwhelming at times?
Definitely. I think last year, Fan Day, we didn't really know what to expect. And then, you have lines of people just filing the stadium. And then, for games like last year's home game against Georgia, especially, just the noise that the crowds makes, it definitely helps, provide a really good home environment for us. And even this year with the limited fans, they always made sure that, we knew they were there. So it definitely can be a bit overwhelming, but it's also really, exciting to see a sport this young that is already, bringing in that sport.
And Coach, you've seen this entire thing kind of take off since you got here in 2017. I don't know if you expected this kind of fan support this early. We're going to touch on your backstory here in a little bit, but you've been a bunch of different places. You've seen a bunch of different fan bases and how they relate to their softball program. This early on, did you think that the fan support would be there this quickly? And I guess we can piggyback on that with my next question is, did you expect your team to get this good that quickly?
Well, Aaron, you never know really truly what to expect. I know when I got hired here in November of 2017 that this was a special place, great athletic tradition in all sports. Obviously, football was riding sky high. And when I got out in the community and started speaking at different various groups, and really trying to sell the program, it was amazing to me how many people were truly interested in fast pitch softball and couldn't wait for us to get started. So it was pretty unique in the fact that, first of all, as a coach without a program, that I was being asked to go out and speak to these different groups. So I knew there was interest, and obviously, Clemson has a passionate fan base, but we really truly didn't know what to expect. until we got here. And then, we got the stadium built, and that fall they opened up season tickets and they sold out within 2 weeks. So that was a pretty good indication that this was going to be the sport of softball was going to be followed here at Clemson. And then, for us, in January, we had a fan appreciation day, or not a fan appreciation day, but a fan fest day, where we invited, fans to come in and meet the team and see the facility. And we had a practice early in the morning that day. And there was still about an hour left to practice. And one of our managers came up and said, "Hey, coach, I know the fan fest isn't supposed to start until 1 o'clock, but there's already a line of people outside of the stadium waiting to get in." And so, of course, we finished practice, and then I went up to the top of the stadium to look out, and sure enough, there was a line of people about a quarter mile long waiting to get into Fan Fest. So that was a pretty good indication that hey, the people were gonna follow us right away and support us. And then of course, for us to start that 2020 season out, and fill the stadium right away, and then have some success that year was really special. And it was unfortunate that COVID shut us down, but everything picked right up this year. And of course, we had limited capacity, but the fans were fantastic. The atmosphere is just electric, and we're just so blessed to have fans that support us, being such a young team.
Valerie, you played a lot of softball in your life. You've been on different teams. And I'm sure just from practice, you knew the kind of talent level that you were playing along with on this ball club. But, you guys have a good start last year. As Coach mentioned, it gets cut short. Do you think that almost even made you guys hit the gas a little harder right from the get-go this season? And it seems like everything came together pretty quickly there for you.
Yeah, I think it was very helpful that we only, had one senior after last year. And then we just added in the 7 freshmen, which, is a really talented class. So we were just able to keep building on the momentum that we had last year. And, being shut down like that kind of made us all want it a little more and, want to have that experience. So, yeah, I definitely think last year we were just able to build off the momentum this year and just keep it going.
The show's called In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports, and we do go in depth. And Valerie, we're going to start with you, touching on a little bit of your backstory here. You're from Yorktown, Virginia. You're homeschooled in high school. Why did you decide to pick a startup program like Clemson? Obviously, I'm sure you had a bunch of different offers to go a bunch of different places. Why Clemson?
Something like Clemson is a really special opportunity to be able to be a part of, a brand new program. And I'm a super competitive person, so getting the opportunity to, be able to create something, especially right off, and just the vision that Coach Rittman and his whole staff were presenting, on my visit, it's really what, the program's turning into. So something like that is just really a hard opportunity to pass up on.
So you get to campus last year, you're meeting new people, you're getting yourself settled and all that, your teammates, and everyone's starting to form a bond. Then COVID hits. And I'm curious, from your perspective as a student athlete, how much of an impact that had on you as an athlete, but also as a student trying to get your feet wet in college, to have the whole thing happen and you get sent home. And it's just, that's a lot to put on your shoulders all at once. If you could just give us a sneak peek inside of how you dealt with all that.
I think the biggest challenge on the athletic side was just, that we hadn't had enough or that much time to get to know each other. And so trying to keep building those relationships over the summer, whether it's, I know I worked out multiple times a week over Zoom with a couple of my teammates, or we had team meetings. So, trying to keep stuff like that going. And then academically, it wasn't too crazy for me, just because I was homeschooled, my whole life. And so going back home and, having to be self-motivated to get stuff done wasn't a huge shock to me, but it was definitely an adjustment going from being in the classroom to being all online.
What's the adjustment been like in general, from going from a whole homeschool situation to being on a giant college campus and all these new people? And, I'd assume that's quite the adjustment.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. Being a part of, an athletic program has definitely helped, because you kind of have almost like built-in friends when you get there, people that you're connected with. And then, just being so busy with that, you don't, branch out quite as much. Obviously, you can interact with the other sports and whatnot. And obviously your students on campus, but, you have your core group. So that was definitely nice coming in. And then just, the classroom, I think homeschooling honestly helped a bit with, just getting assignments done, because I, was just told, this assignment's due in a week, get it done. And that's kind of the way it is here too. So that's definitely been a big help.
There's not like a ton to do when the pandemic hits right at first and, season gets cut short. I'm curious how much you actually trained heading into this season. We're going to touch on the results here in a second, but the build up to the season, I got to imagine there was a lot of time to train there.
Yeah, I took a couple weeks to a month off right when the season got canceled. And then I ended up playing a couple tournaments last year with my travel team over the summer. But, when I got back here in the fall, especially, I was fully healthy. And so I really took it upon myself to try and, get extra conditioning in and, make sure that I was really in shape and prepared for this season.
Boy, were you prepared for this season. Let's go ahead and embarrass you a little bit here. First All-American in program history, first player in the nation to pitch 200 innings, hit 400 at the plate, led Clemson in batting average, slugging, on-base percentage, hits, RBI, doubles, home runs with 17 total bases and walks. And that's just in the batter's box. So let's go over to the circle now. Also led the Tigers in ERA with a 1.16, opposing batting average, wins with 28, saves with 5, innings pitched, strikeouts with 267. Started a team-high 32 games, go the distance in 26 of them, 11 of them shutouts, 2 complete game no-hitters. Wow. Obviously, you knew your talent level coming into this, but was this a surprise to you to have this kind of an outburst? And how much confidence does this give you in your first full season of playing college softball in a conference like the ACC, one of the preeminent conferences in Division I, to not only know what you can do at the plate, but also be a team leader going forward as you progress into your collegiate career?
Yeah, I think it's hard to know coming in exactly how it's going to translate. Travel ball and college softball, especially in a conference like this, are very different. But it definitely is a little bit of a confidence boost just to know that I'm playing against some really good competition and I'm able to, put up the numbers for my team that I can.
What else do you do besides play softball? We see that kind of performance. Everyone just heard the stats I just said. I would imagine, you wake up, you do like the Rocky breakfast with egg yolks and, whole milk, and then you train 2 times a day. You take like 5 times in the batting cage. You sleep in your cleats. Like, is that the reality, or what are the other things? Let us know a little bit more about Valerie Cagle aside from the ball player.
Obviously, softball takes up a lot of my time, but I really enjoy cooking for myself and having friends over and just cooking. And then also I enjoy baking a lot. It's kind of funny. I don't actually like eating the stuff that I bake. I prefer just, bring it to other people, but I really enjoy doing that.
What's the go-to? What's the Valerie Cagle special?
For baking, it would definitely be chocolate chip cookies. I brought some to the stadium the other day and they didn't last very long. So,
Coach, can you attest to this talent?
I can. The cookies were very good. I haven't eaten one of her meals yet, but I can vouch for the cookies. They were gone pretty quick.
Well, give us a little bit of insight of what Valerie has meant to your program since coming in. You obviously recruited her, but there's a lot of unknowns until you see the production. When did you know you had a two-way superstar and the development?
Well, in the recruitment process, obviously, being a coach, you can see talent, and obviously Valerie was very talented as a high school travel ball player. She did everything really well. She pitched, obviously she throws with velocity. She fields her position extremely well, and she has movement on her pitches. Offensively, she's got power. She's got power to all fields. She hits for average, and she's just very athletic, and she plays the outfield when she's not pitching. And I've joked with her a lot about, maybe mixing in some infield, so, but no, she's very talented. And when you watch her growth in the first 2 years of this program, it's really it's the sky's the limit for her. And from what her experience was during the COVID year and the games that we were able to play, her growth that year was just phenomenal. She started the year injured, had surgery, and then had to kind of rush in to get ready for the season, and kind of started slow. But once she started, really getting back into shape and with her timing at the plate and her, delivery in the circle and her pitches, you could tell that, it's going to be something special. And then, to end the season abruptly and then to start this new year out in a different setting with all the parameters and protocols with COVID, you really didn't know what to expect. But I think the biggest thing I'm probably most proud of Valerie is just her ability to deal with failure. She's kind of a perfectionist. So she's probably her toughest critic, and she puts a lot of pressure on herself. But the biggest thing is just getting her to relax and enjoy the game and have fun playing the game without, these heavy burdens of trying to set every record and, win every game by herself. And, and I think she's just now learning how to do that and cope with that. And, she's really, like I said, she's her own toughest critic, and sometimes, dealing with failure is not easy in our sport. And I think she's matured enough now where she can handle it. She's still working on it, body language. And, when you get the ball in the circle, everybody's eyes are on you on every pitch, and she's done a good job, and she's going to continue to grow and how she handles herself on the field and how she handles those failures. But we're just so proud of her. And like I said earlier, the sky's the limit. So she's somebody that works extremely hard. She's very humble. She's going to have the ability to play for a junior USA team this summer. So that's going to be a brand new experience for her. She's going to get to travel internationally and play softball, the game she loves. And, so those are all important aspects in the growth process. And I think, as coaches, we're here to help her along the way, and in whatever she needs, in that growth. And, what really impresses me, though, is how she's adapted to somebody who's being homeschooled and then thrown into this huge university with everything that goes on in the college life. And she's just done a great job with that. She's branched out. She's got a lot of friends and great teammates and coaches that care about her a lot. And so, really, we're just excited to see where she goes in the next 3 years.
Coach, your turn now. 3-time conference coach of the year, John Rittman, who's waving at his lights.
The lights went out. There's not enough movement in here.
As every 3-time conference coach of the year does. Of course, he won it this past year in the ACC, twice in the Pac-12 or Pac-10 back then. Played baseball in New Mexico State. He graduated in '86. Assistant coaching stints at Oregon, Minnesota, Washington. 18 years as the head coach at Stanford. Boy, the resume is pretty impressive there. 750 wins, 18 straight winning seasons. That's pretty good right there. 16 trips to the NCAAs, 2 trips to the Women's College World Series. Associate head coach at Kansas in 15 to 17. And then you get named the head coach at Clemson in 2017. So my question is with that kind of resume, I'd assume you can go pretty much anywhere you want in the country. Why Clemson? Why a startup program when you've already established yourself this much?
Well, I mean, obviously, Clemson is a great university with a great fan base, great athletic tradition. It's in a wonderful part of the country. And really, to be asked to be the head coach of this program was really, for me, very important. I came in on my interview and met, obviously Dan Radakovich, our athletic director, Natalie Honan, Joe Simon, who was going to help us build the stadium, met the entire administrative staff and the other coaches, and really just liked the challenge of building a program from the ground up, and really it's like a blank canvas and you get to put your imprint on it. And certainly it's more than a one-person job. So, our first priority was to hire a staff and get the support staff hired, and then to go out and recruit great student athletes to come to a great academic institution like Clemson. So all of those things were intriguing, but I've been in the game a long time, and I just sometimes challenges are put in front of you, and you look forward to those challenges. And I was at a point in my career where I wanted to be a head coach again, and this opportunity opened up, and talked to my wife and my family, and everybody was so supportive. And then obviously came here on an interview and got offered the job, and the rest is kind of history. I'm just so blessed to be here. It's such a wonderful place to coach and live, and look forward to continuing to build this program.
You obviously were a pretty good ball player yourself, playing Division I ball there at New Mexico State. When did you decide that you wanted to go into coaching? When did you fall in love with it?
I actually I accidentally fell into coaching. I really wasn't set out to start a career in coaching. I got my degree from New Mexico State and started a master's program at the University of Oregon. And the softball coach there, through a acquaintance, heard that I was getting my master's there, and she needed an assistant coach, and they had no money to pay an assistant coach, so it was a volunteer position. And through this acquaintance, I got to know the head coach, and thought, oh well, I'm getting my master's, it'll be something to keep me busy as a student athlete. You have that time block from 2 to 6 where you're used to being at practice every day. So instead of practicing now, I was coaching from 2 to 6, not getting paid anything to do it either. But I just kind of fell into it and fell in love with coaching and fast pitch softball. And I had the opportunity to play a couple of years of fast pitch after my college career ended. But, the rest is history. I fell in love with it. And, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life. I feel like coaching it's a profession, but it's not work. It's just something that you do and have fun doing. And I've enjoyed it and loved it ever since.
Valerie, how would you assess Coach Rittman's performance so far as your head coach? And what, he has to tell you all the time the stuff that you guys need to work on. What are some of the things that Coach Rittman could work on now that the floor is yours?
Coach Rittman's been awesome. You have to choose a school, obviously, for the academics, but a lot of it, has to be with the coaches and your teammates as well, because you spend so much time with them. But I know that if I ever need anything, Coach Rittman's always there. He definitely turns into dad mode a lot with me when things happen. And, if I need anything, again, I can always call him and he's always there. So it's been a really good experience here at Clemson, and, him and just the whole coaching staff.
Is he big on the dad jokes?
He says some stuff sometimes, just throw it out there and you don't know where it comes from. It kind of takes you, catch you off guard a little bit, but yeah.
Look, I'm a new dad myself, 3 and 1, and I am slowly sliding into that. I catch myself saying stuff and I'm like, I don't know who that guy is. So I can certainly relate. Coach, you guide Clemson to a 19-8 record in year 1. Obviously it's the COVID year, but you guys were projected to finish 10th in the ACC. Obviously, a surprising start for a lot of us. Maybe not so much for you, but encouraging for you. When COVID hits and the season gets canceled, again, we just touched on how long you've been doing this, all different kinds of situations. Toughest thing you've had to deal with as a coach? You're dealing with a lot of personalities, a lot of different situations at that point.
Yeah, Aaron, it's one of the toughest conversations I've ever had to have with the team, and certainly haven't had any experience shutting down a season because of a world pandemic, so, but it was very heartbreaking. And to know that what we had put into that inaugural season and how we were just starting to get on this roll. I think we had been on a 12-game win streak, and just to see the fans and all the excitement around the program. And obviously one of our main goals was to shock the world. And we were doing that. And then just to have it abruptly end was difficult. It was difficult on the players and the coaches and all of our staff. And you just, like Valerie mentioned earlier, you spend so much time with your teammates and coaches and trainers, and it's really your family away from family, and then to just have it abruptly end and not know what the future was going to hold. Those were all difficult times and difficult conversations that we had to have. And you know, it definitely, I think more than anything, it's prepared us for life after softball, that we can deal with this, we can deal with anything. But it's really brought to light our passion for the game of softball and how much we missed it and how we can't take it for granted. From a coaching staff or a player's point of view, you just appreciate you appreciate the hard work, you appreciate the hard practices, you appreciate the times where maybe softball is a little bit hard, or your classes are hard, or, you know, you have a bad day, but hey, you're still getting to play softball, you know, and that, I think, was the true blessing in disguise about this whole situation.
Yeah, you know, the term "don't sweat the small stuff" kind of rings true, and I think it kind of puts perspective for everyone in all walks of life what the small stuff truly is. You know, this year, obviously, I don't know what you expected, or, you know, if you saw this kind of success coming, but 44-8 overall, 29-5 in the ACC. Those are going to be tough marks to reach, let alone eclipse moving forward. What's the message to the team this offseason after such a historic year?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to really enjoy what we accomplished this year. And, you know, I think the season just gets going so fast, and then, you know, you're playing in the NCAA regionals, and you're not planning on the season ending. You're looking forward to the next round of super regionals. And so when it ends, it kind of takes a couple of weeks for things to slow down, and you got to give yourself time to process what exactly happened. And we've done that now. And I think we've changed gears as a coaching staff and started looking forward to recruiting and running summer camps, and really thinking about next year. And there's a lot that goes into preparation for a season. And certainly we're getting ready to start that time of year where we start looking at how we're going to get better next year and some of the goals that we want to achieve as coaches. And the players have their summer workouts that are going to start. Valerie has a great opportunity. She gets to compete this summer with USA across her chest, which is an awesome opportunity. But we have some areas of improvement. You know, we obviously are going to look back at the things we did well this year and areas that we need to improve in. And certainly we're going to make a plan, and this fall we're going to go out and get better and hopefully have another great year.
You know, certainly with a full off season, with a little bit more normal conditions will help there. And, you know, you have been doing this a long time, because you just kind of segued into my next question, which is I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up your U.S. national career. You know, gold at the 2016 Women's World Championship, on staff for the 2004 gold medal team in Athens, the silver medal team in 2008 in Beijing, some of the biggest stages of all level of softball. But you know, as softball returns as an Olympic sport this year in Tokyo, it's been gone for 13 years. I got to imagine standing up there with the USA across your chest has to be one of the highlights of your career.
No question. It's, you know, it's anytime you get to represent your country, and like I mentioned earlier, wear USA across your chest on your hat and represent the red, white, and blue. It's just special. And there's really, you know, in my career, to be able to be a part of a staff for 8 years that won world championship, Pan Am gold medals, Olympic gold medals, Olympic silver medals was really special. And it was a time in my life that I'll never forget and appreciate the opportunities. But like in all sports, it's the people you meet and the people that you go on the journey with that mean the most. And I've met so many wonderful people and coached so many great players over the years that those are the things that I'm going to remember the most. Certainly traveling internationally and all the, you know, the great competitions and being on that stage is special, but it boils down to, you know, the people that you meet and the people that are part of your life in those times. And then, you know, I was very blessed to get back in it in 2016, and that's where I met my associate head coach, Kyle Jamison, who was a head coach at Furman, and we were a part of a staff that won the world championship in 2016 when, you know, it was just going to be back in the Olympics in 20. So that was a special time. and a special championship. So, but to have the USA background is just it's just been so special to me and my family. But really, now that it's back in the Olympics in 2020, which got canceled now in 2021, is just so special. It opens up so many opportunities for young girls to dream about, playing softball past college and being able to represent your country at the Olympics. So I know there's a lot of young girls out there that are dreaming about the Olympic team. They have a great role model in Valerie Cagle to look at. And Valerie's at the age now where she can start really looking at setting that as one of her goals, is being on an Olympic team and representing her country at the Olympics.
Valerie, I wanted to get your thoughts on that, just the opportunity that it's there again. There was a big absence there for more than a decade. It's got to be good timing for you.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I'm definitely honored to be invited to the junior tryout this summer. Ever since I committed to Clemson, Coach Rittman's made comments to me about Team USA and playing after college, and it's definitely weird for me to think that I could do that. Just it just seems. I'm just trying to focus on getting through, college, and then, that's kind of, the next step. But it's definitely nice to have something, to look forward to as a possibility.
This is for both of you. The differences between men's and women's sports, the collegiate level, has been a national conversation. And obviously, when you guys have a new program with the kind of draw and the talent level, and certainly the winning helps, but the fact that Clemson softball has exploded to one of the top programs at the university, what does that say to other schools that are axing sports across, or maybe not putting as much into the women's programs, about what can happen if you do put a solid investment in a women's program and there's a lot of success that takes off there? Coach, I'll start with you.
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot in the news about the inequities between men's and women's sports, and some of it, obviously is very mind-boggling to those of us involved in intercollegiate athletics. But it's there, and it's something that everybody is trying to do better at. I think at the NCAA level that a lot of that has been brought to the forefront, and I think they're working on fixing some of these issues. And certainly at Clemson, we're blessed. We have, the complete backing of the administration. We have great leadership at Clemson, and they do everything in their power to do things the right way. And if you look at the way we did the program here, it was done correctly, and it's provided a lot of opportunities for young women to grow and compete and get a great education. But it's also, like we mentioned with USA softball, it's opened up a lot of dreams for young girls who always wanted to go to Clemson, but they didn't have a program. So that opportunity wasn't there. And now that opportunity is there. So, certainly we want to better the world of athletics and give more opportunities to young women to compete and do it at a high level. And as a coach, there's certainly some things that I can do to help push the movement along. And we've done that. We've voiced our concerns at the national level within our coaches association. And, there's a right way and wrong way to do it. And I think we're doing it the right way. And hopefully, we brought some light to some people that, hey, if you give women the opportunity and you give them the resources, this is what can happen, and certainly Duke is another program that added 4 years ago in our conference, and they've had great success. So, hopefully we can help that movement along a little bit and say, if you invest in women's sports, you'll see the outcome. And you've definitely seen that with our softball program here.
Valerie, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's just like what Coach said, Clemson, just the support of the athletics and the administration, and just the resources and the time that they put into making their athletic programs, just do them the right way. That's, kind of just how it's been shown that if you put the work in, you'll get the result.
Final one for me, and Coach, we'll start with you. you cap off a historic season, understanding we're just talking about heading into the second full season of Clemson softball. I understand this might sound a little crazy, but is this College World Series or bust going into the 21-22 season?
You know, obviously every year we want to win every game we play in. And, you know, this team has a lot of great returning players. We have some great recruits coming in this year, and certainly, you know, the expectations are going to be high, you know, but we're more about our performance-based goals than we are outcome goals. So we understand that to get to where we want to go, we're going to have to put in the work this summer, next fall, to get ready for the season. You know, and I think with the talent we have and the schedule that we have next year, we're going to be in a tough situation to meet those expectations. I mean, we have a very tough non-conference schedule. Our conference schedule is going to be a lot more difficult next year, but we're up for the challenge. The question is, you know, really how well we can continue to grow as a team, continue to work on our culture, the camaraderie that these players have shown. We're going to have an expanded roster, so how players buy into their new roles is going to be huge. But you know, as any season, there's going to be high expectations. I think our coaching staff understands that this could be a special year coming up, and you know, certainly we have to stay injury free. But with the talent that we have coming back and the recruits that we have coming in, if we put in the work and continue to grow as a team, the sky's the limit.
Valerie, I know this role is still a little new to you, but very quickly you've turned into a national name. You are a staple on our sportscasts really for the past 2 months. So when you think about someone who's watching this that could be a high school softball player or maybe a little younger, that very quickly you're now one of the role models for these young girls looking to maybe make their names in the way that you have. What advice would you give to them, and what message do you want them to take?
I think, you know, the big thing is just, you know, you kind of control where you go, and not, you know, it's like, you know, you control the work you put in, and you have to be your own, you know, biggest motivation to, you know, reach your goals. But also, like, you have awesome teammates and coaches, and, you know, so really rely on them, you know, use them, feed off of them, and learn from them. I mean, you know, some of our seniors, like Cami Pereira, she's been a, you know, big help to me, not just, I mean, she's been a great leader for this team. And so somebody I can look up to and, you know, kind of follow what she does. But also, you know, if I need anything on or off the field, you know, she's always there. So definitely, you know, put in the work. You know, you have to put in the work if you want to, you know, achieve your goals, but also just use those around you kind of to your advantage, and just really lean on them.
Coach, there was one that I forgot to get to. You're married appropriately enough to a former softball player, and I saw that you have 2 sons that both play football, one of which plays football at Notre Dame. So I'm curious, one, how the Rittman household was for the Clemson Notre Dame games this past fall. There were 2, one for the ACC title. That had to be a little bit of a different dynamic for you. And then maybe the more important question, who's the best athlete in the Rittman household?
Well, you know, we're all pretty athletic and pretty competitive. You know, so, you know, my wife played softball at Oklahoma, so arguably she's probably the best athlete in the family. But no, like I said, we've had a lot of fun watching our sons play all sports growing up, and we're blessed that our older son got an opportunity to play football and get a degree from UCLA. And then, you know, our son Jake is now at UCLA. He's got 1 year left before he gets his degree. He's in the Mendoza School of Business, so very proud of him. And you know, it's always tough when you're working for a school and you know, you have a son playing for a school like Notre Dame, and then the two powers meet in games. So very blessed to be at both of those games, though. We were up at Notre Dame when Notre Dame beat Clemson, and we were at the ACC championship game when Clemson beat Notre Dame. So, you know, obviously rooting for our son, but it was difficult. You know, you really can't lose in that situation. But very proud of Jake and Notre Dame football. They've treated him great in his time there, and they've been fun to follow. They've had a great program, obviously a storied program, but he's been to 2 college football playoffs in the 3 years that he's been there. So that's pretty unique and special. So we're very blessed to be a part of the Notre Dame family as well as the Clemson family.
Valerie, we'll wrap it up with you. Obviously, you got a lot of great softball ahead of you coming up this summer. I know you're already looking towards next year. This year, a historic season in its own right, doesn't end the way you want to. How much, from that locker room's perspective, how much motivation does that give you guys going into next year to make even more of a run, not just in the ACC, but nationally as well?
Yeah, of course, you always want to, like Coach said earlier, win the last game of the season. And making it to regionals in our first full year was really incredible. And I think even though, we ended up losing the way we did, it was still a really good experience for all of us. Most of us had never been to that before. So all of us now have that experience. It's going to be, we're going to be able to share that with our freshmen coming in and our younger players and, maybe the players that didn't get to, play as much at this regional. So it definitely motivates us for the future, but it was also just a really good experience and learning opportunity for all of us.
Well, from my perspective, guys, I got to tell you, it's been a lot of fun covering you guys so far. To be honest with you, I get asked out on the street more about Clemson softball than almost every other sport over the last 6 months. And I think that's a pretty good testament to the impact that you guys have had on the entire upstate and certainly with fans of Clemson athletics. So congrats on the success so far. Hope you guys get a little bit of a rest before you guys get going again into next year, and certainly appreciate you guys making some time to join us this week.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it, and appreciate the coverage.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us for this week of In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. Thanks again to Valerie Cagle and head coach John Rittman. We'll see you back here next week. Have a great one.